This is my suggestion on how to solve this problem. Let the people vote. And it's a very simple referendum. Do you want to spend X billions of dollars to construct a wall? You have yes or no. Or B, you could say yes or no. Or B, yes, I want to bring in more refugees and immigrants. It will cost me X amount of dollars for each one that comes in. So what I say to people, if you want to house them, if you want to educate them, if you want to take care of their health care, if you want to feed them, then that's your choice. But don't tell me that I have to do the same thing. So unless you do that, don't give me your BS, because talk is cheap. Put your money where your mouth is, capisce?
We're going back to Gerald Celente in a moment. I want to get his take on this before we look at the 2020 field and the economy and Trump trying to pull troops out of Afghanistan and Syria and being demonized and attacked, where he sees the big nationalist movements, populist movements going, the yellow vest, so much more with Gerald Celente in a moment. But here is Congresswoman Jay Paul from just minutes ago. I told you about it. How dare you? The children are crying. Meanwhile, people show up like 7 or 8 adults, 20 kids. No one knows who's who. They have no ID. It was the ACLU sued back under Bush like 15 years ago and said you've got to separate kids from adults. And they just lie about this and say it's Trump when we've made conditions better. And even the Senate report said a lot of kids go into sex slavery who weren't checked. And she just sits here in this big act where the Democrats won't stand when Trump says, let's not abort babies after they're born. So beyond pro-life, pro-choice, I mean, that's where we've gotten. They can't have the cake and eat it too. So here it is.
Being with us, our country is still reeling from the horrors of family separation that occurred at the border. I was the first member of Congress to talk to hundreds of women and men who had been ripped apart from their children.
Killed in Mexico.
Federal detention, federal prison to talk to those women. Many of them had not
This woman would end our civilization if she could.
They sat in the room next door as they heard their children yelling for them. And they were not able to go and speak to their children.
God, these people are sick.
And for weeks, they didn't know where their children were.
Shouldn't have let them across the desert with no ID. I mean, again, these people commit these huge crimes, and the left bitches and complains and gets in our face and tries to make us guilty, and they're just a group of child trafficking monsters. Let's continue.
These women, most of the men, were seeking asylum. And your department, instead of allowing them their legal right to seek asylum, your department instead imposed a zero humanity policy to prosecute.
Again. The UN broke Europe. They're breaking us, organizing millions to invade. They're almost all military-age men. They use a few kids as shields. They meant to overwhelm the judges and collapse the country. This is the plan. And this woman knows it. Let's continue and get Gerald Celente's take. Go ahead.
Proceedings resulting in the U.S. government tearing thousands of children from their moms and dads, and this is still happening. And the truth is, we may not know how many children were separated from their parents. So, Mr. Whitaker, you were former Attorney General Jeff Sessions' chief of staff at the time. Is that correct?
Of the zero tolerance policy being implemented?
You were his chief of staff at the time.
At what point in time? I was
of the family separation policy. Let me just tell you,
I'm sorry, there was no family separation policy. There was a zero tolerance policy.
This has been given 4 Pinocchios multiple times. I'm just going to tell you, you were former Attorney General's chief of staff at the time. Last month, Senator Merkley released...
Pause again. I'm going to go to Joel on this. They have this thing where, Snopes or one of our paid groups says you're a Pinocchio. Like if Whitaker goes, the sky's blue, they go, no, it's not. We have a group that says 4 Pinocchios. Then go move to Mexico or Venezuela, you dumb, ignorant blob. Stop coming here and just bitching that we're the most open country in the world and trying to shame us because you want to use our Christian ethos against it, you ugly witch. Go back to her.
By senior officials at the Department of Justice and Homeland Security outlining policies to separate children from their families. Were you aware of this memo at the time?
No.
So as the chief of staff, you were not aware of what your boss was doing?
Was the memo, I'm sorry, are you talking about the leaked memo or the memo that General Sessions issued?
There was a leaked draft memo by senior officials at the Department of Justice. You were the chief of staff. I would think you would know, and you would be a senior official, you would know about that memo. The memo stated that a policy of criminally prosecuting parents would require close coordination between DHS and the Department of Health and Human Services, which would be tasked with housing children separated from their moms and dads. And yet a report released by the Government Accountability Office last October says that DHS and HHS were, quote, unaware that your...
That's enough for her. So, again, we have a totally open border. Do whatever you want. This is a total joke. And Gerald, I appreciate you joining us. You got a lot to cover when we come back next segment. But just on this whole subject, what do you make of this?
Well, again, you know, one of our top trends for 2019 is human waves. And you're looking at Latin America, for Central America, according to a Gallup poll survey, nearly 27% of the people want to leave those regions because of the violence, the corruption, and the inability to get any jobs. So let's go back. How to stop it? Number one, it goes back to Occupy Peace, the movement that I've started, OccupyPeace.com. Close all the bases overseas and bring the troops back to protect the homeland. That's the first thing. Number two, I suggested, this is my suggestion on how to solve this problem. Let the people vote. And it's a very simple referendum. Do you want to spend X billions of dollars to construct a wall? You have yes or no. Or B, you could say yes or no. Or B, yes, I want to bring in more refugees and immigrants. It will cost me X amount of dollars for each one that comes in. So what I say to people, if you want to house them, if you want to educate them, if you want to take care of their health care, if you want to feed them, then that's your choice. But don't tell me that I have to do the same thing. So I'm saying I believe we should have a national referendum. Open the borders or close the borders. It's as simple as that. And, by the way, how come we don't hear this kind of vitriol coming from that congresswoman about what they're doing in Hungary, what they're doing in Austria, what they're doing in Poland, what they're doing in the Czech Republic, what they're now doing in Italy? They don't want other people coming in until they could take care of their own. Oh, and I forgot Germany. And you look what happened to Angela Merkel because she allowed some 2 million refugees come in, and now you can see the other movements going on against it. So what I'm saying is, who are these people, these little privileged people, to tell us what to do? Let the people vote. If we could bank online, we could vote online. This should be a referendum of the American people, not the political interests.
And you forgot Brazil, Italy. Brazil's closed its borders with Venezuela. I mean, you've got collapsing countries on your border. You can't let that happen.
Exactly. And again, all these people, that congresswoman, hey, you, bring in a family, bring in as many people as you want. You pay for their education, you feed them, you house them, and you pay for their health care. So unless you do that, don't give me your BS, because talk is cheap. Put your money where your mouth is, capisce?
Well, we know the UN's using third world populations as an invasion force, and I don't blame people wanting to come here. The difference is we don't have an educational system that can deprogram these people, and they're all voting for socialism, basically, and that's the crisis. We're going to come back, Gerald. I want to get your take on the 2020 field. I know you've got some private predictions. I don't know if you want to share those yet about who you think their golden man or woman is, and what you think Trump should do on many fronts, because I'm critical on Trump not fighting internet censorship. And, you know, I agree we shouldn't go take over Venezuela, but if it collapses, what do you do? But I want to ask you, well, just starting now, though, it is good that he tried to get out of Afghanistan and Syria, but then the government and both parties threatened to impeach him and just say no. I mean, talk about deep state, my goodness. What do you think about that as we go to break? I mean, just the refusal.
Well, it is the deep state. They don't want it. and they don't want to do a lot of the things that he wants. And it's very clear with Afghanistan and Syria. And so, again, go back to the first day he was elected. The headline in USA Today, new president wins with 74 lawsuits or something like that. It's been an attack on Trump since the beginning because he has really destroyed both political parties in so many ways, and he's the forerunner of the populist movement.
That's right. And it's happening all over the world. So good things are happening all over the world.
When it comes to rebuilding your energy, convenience is key. While coffee, candy, and other sugary products can give you a short boost, the crash can leave you more tired than ever. Turbo Force from InfoWars Life is a powerful mix-in energy packet that utilizes vitamins, amino acids, and extracts used for hundreds of years to provide you focus, clarity, and a boost of energy on the go. Simply take a packet, mix it into the indicated amount of water, and enjoy. With 14 servings per box for a 2-week or more supply, this is the formula to stock up on whenever you need a boost. Perfect for work, in the car, or at home. Turbo Force is the ultimate answer to a sluggish day. Don't let your day slow you down. Perk up with Turbo Force at InfoWarsStore.com.